life on the line for purple in the next one.
That's right. So with that, both of these players are going to start with their bans. Purple banning the warrior, but he's going to be able to play warrior. This might be one of the few times this weekend you see warrior let through the ban stage.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. Yeah, it's shocking because it's we talked about this before the first match where warrior just seems to have a lot of answers for a lot of the other popular decks in Grandmasters right now, where it's got quote unquote healing in the form of armor. It's got a lot of explosiveness, no pun intended, with the bombs, but also just in terms of damage that can come through in a hurry from it. So, and good board clear as well, good board presence. So it's a bit surprising to see it not banned, but purple, he kind of needs it right now, I think.
And then on PNC's end, PNC, not unfamiliar with these kinds of situations. He has been regularly on the chopping block of Grandmasters, going back to the previous season and even from the first half of Season 1 back in 2019. In the second half, he kind of made this crazy comeback and then all of a sudden barely squeezed in the playoff and then won that playoff to go to the Global Finals. But, he hasn't really gone through his season without his fair share of criticism. People wonder if PNC can keep his nerves under control, if whether or not he's playing his best. And we've seen PNC when he's performing his best, but this season it seems like, he's slightly improved in some areas, but also, kind of still been in that weird zone where he's struggling to put on his best play every week.
Yeah, well, we're taking a look at Purple's Warrior right now, Pain Warrior, and pretty run-of-the-mill. I guess you do see sometimes that Livewire Lance swapped out. If I recall correctly, it's been a little while since I've looked at this list, but it looks fairly standard to me from what I remember.
Yeah, it's pretty standard, although people have been taking out Serpent Egg for a while. And also putting in 2 Korokanates. And if I were to be very candid, I don't think this deck list is the best version of Warrior right now. I understand the Terran Gorfine and the Serpent Egg is just really fun, and Purple has opportunities to really blast through. But in terms of what's optimal on ladder and what most people are bringing right now to Grandmasters, this is an unusual choice to kind of stick to what people played a month ago. So
yeah.
I gotta say that I'm not sure. Meanwhile, it seems like PNC has updated his deck list because he was one of the people pioneering Highlander Hunter in Americas for a while at the beginning of the season. And now it seems like I'm going to say based off this head-to-head that Warrior's still favored, and leaving up Warrior is a risky choice. But at the same time, PNC does have some of that updated tech that might help.
Right. So we'll see if things like Acidic Swamp Ooze can handle the Ankar, and if things like Nagrand Slam, which came out in the last expansion, can seize back some of that board presence. Obviously, newer things like Boom Pistol Bully as well, pretty useful. Although I say newer, but that's like one of the new cards that came out the last time I casted it. So it's been a little while. It's been a few months.
Yeah, well, I mean, the matchup still stays relatively the same for Hunter. Hunter just needs to get out ahead of Warrior.
Right.
And then, if Warrior has it depends on kind of like what version of the hand the Warrior draws. If they draw more of a combo hand, that actually gives Hunter an opportunity to sneak in there and get too much board presence in. But if they draw like a curve hand, in this case, Purple drawing the Serpent Egg and Terran Gorfine, that already means that Hunter's in a really bad spot. So we shall see.
We shall see, indeed, as we get into game number 1 between Purple and PNC, a Group B battle. Lives are on the line. I just want to get into the game. Let's see it.
For sure. I think another thing to consider is that week to week, Purple's brought the same 4 classes almost every single week of Grandmasters. He's kind of slid in a priest here and there, but for the most part, it seems like while everybody else is trying their best to figure out the new things,
am I supposed to be seeing
Purple's
the game right now?
Going more with the tried and true versions of the decks, and that could work out in his benefit. Part of me wonders if Purple is underthinking it, but at the same time, maybe other people are overthinking it. So there is a chance that this ends up working out really well because everyone's preparing for deck lists that what they interpret everyone else to be playing the updated decks. And then sometimes, like, the rock, paper, scissors element, they end up gaming themselves because purple just brings what was good, 3-4 weeks ago.
Right, and it comes down to, again, like a little bit of comfort as well, right? Where if you are on the bubble like purple is right now and you need to get that win, do you want to be messing around with some of the newer tech, or do you want to be a little bit tricky? Now's the time to pull out all the stops and do everything you can to sort of take the win.
Yeah, that's right. And then the last thing is that purple is one of the few people to not bring Quest Warlock this week.
Right.
So PNC, with that difference, we'll see if that ends up becoming a factor in this series. PNC is currently 2-3, while purple is 1-5. A loss here for PNC and a loss here against Firebat tomorrow, or rather on Sunday, would have big implications on whether or not purple's able to survive. But right now, this is purple's last series, potentially his last games that he will play in Grandmasters.
Yep, certainly possible. I think we mentioned earlier one of the real kind of rough things for purple is that the people below him in the standings, technically right now, Papa Jason and ETC, both have wins over purple in Group B. So, if it comes down to tiebreakers, I believe that's one of the first ones they look at is a head-to-head. Am I right with that?
Well, the tiebreaker rules are all listed on the Grandmasters website, playhearthstone.com/esports. I always say that because the rules are fairly complex with tiebreaker stuff.
Are indeed.
So, if you want to go for it, there's actually a shorthand link. It's blizz.ly/hsrules. And it has all the stuff for Masters tours, qualifiers, all the way to Grandmasters. So
there you go.
Definitely go ahead and check.
Cool. Well, take a look at the standings real quick here. Again, between Division A and Division B, we did just see Gallon take a win in the last series, up to 5-1 in Division A. The leader for now, anyway, a clear leader. And then in Division B, we're about to see the next match. You mentioned Purple 1-5, on the verge of his last series in Grandmasters if he doesn't turn it around. PNC at 2-3.
Yeah, so for this Division B, it seems like there's a clear separation between the top half and the bottom half right now.
Yeah.
I was told that Muzzy is not guaranteed playoffs, by the way. If he ends up losing this next one, and I believe PNC wins his next two.
Well, that would put both of them at, it would put PNC at 4-3 and Muzzy at 4 and... Well, yeah, it's possible, basically.
Exactly. There's some cases where there, I believe, could be several people tied at 4-3, and that would create a situation where it's not guaranteed. So we'll go ahead and just, play these games and update you on what the status is of playoffs and relegation accordingly. But for now, Game 1 is ready with Warrior versus.
Right. Well, we're not playing these games. Thank goodness for that. Purple would not make it if I was playing for him.
That would be illegal. Yeah.
Yes, that too. It's going to be Warrior versus Hunter, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, for our first matchup. Purple using the Warrior PNC with the Highlander Hunter. What do you think about the starting hand option for Purple here? Got a couple good options.
So the biggest problem that I have with his hand is that it's all great, but it's like a lot of setup. Serpent Egg, Warmaw Challenger. You've collectively spent 5 mana and developed 1 power on the board.
Yeah.
And, Hunter, it ramps up real quickly. Especially if they coin out Imprisoned Velma of some kind. Or in this case, just curve out with dragons.
Oh, speaking of curving out with dragons, PNC in a good place to do just that. Serpent Egg comes down. All right. And I like the Korkron Elite in Purple's decks. That's a card that goes way, way, way back to the very beginning of Hearthstone, and one of the few charge minions to actually survive all this time. Just a strong, aggressive option. Just a good card with a good stat line and a good ability.
Yeah, Corcoran Elite's really flexible of a card right now. I think most people consider just a game finisher, but in this case, Purple might just use it for curve if he doesn't pick up something better. Although I do anticipate with that Inner Rage pickup, Purple now has some pretty good options at his disposal.
Right.
And PNC's thinking exactly that. Like, if I play Fairy Dragon here, how bad is it if my opponent has the Inner Rage to try and punish me?
It's a little bit rough. I like the Primordial Explorer here, rather, because he can find something to fit into his curve a little bit better, like a Twilight Drake, and he also gets the poison on the board to handle anything a little bit too HP that comes out, or too much HP to come out.
It also contests Wormald Challenger really well, which is a pretty important card here for Warrior, especially against Hunters early game.
So Livewire Lance now for Purple, and that can unlock a couple other different plays. You never know what Lackey you're going to get. Not this turn, of course, but something for the future. Yeah, seems like the natural play. Lets you clear and also lets you, have more options on turn 4 anyway.
Yeah, it's pretty close, honestly. The Anchor versus the Livewire Lance. Anchor is just really good to make sure that you're drawing cards out of your deck, that you're not going to draw them, and also just increase the amount of power plays that you have heading to turn 5. So starting from turn 5 onwards is when the Warrior deck unlocks a lot of its potential combos.
So do you feel like the Livewire Lance is maybe, in Purple's opinion, a little bit better option when there's higher pressure coming at you?
I think it's because Purple wants the flexibility of the lackeys, because he doesn't necessarily want to play Corcoran Elite next turn.
Sure.
And he has the opportunity to swing and play lackeys, and ultimately like fill out his mana.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
if he played Anchor and drew, say, the Risky Skipper instead of the Sky Raider, chances are he would be holding that Risky Skipper anyways and floating a Mana Crystal, which is in a lot of players' books a big
Exactly. All right, well, PNC letting the rope burn down, deciding what to do, just stacks a couple more minions on the board. A little bit more damage to face. And Purple has a couple different ways to answer this right now. Okay, he does draw the Sky Raider as well.
Yeah, there's several different things that Purple could be doing here. First thing that immediately we want to see is what's in the Livewire Lance door number 2.
It's another Ethereal Lackey, okay. Corcoran. So, focusing on some board development now, I guess. And you can still Inner Rage the egg to... Oh, no, you can't. You couldn't clear that dragon. What am I talking about? That's 3 health.
Yeah, so this is a play from Purple to make it uncomfortable for PNC. He just wants to make PNC's development turn pretty awkward because, yes, a 2/3 trading into a 4/2 is good value on the surface, but this is a poisonous minion that can challenge a lot of things.
Right. Now, PNC picked up the Twilight Drake as well, and you want to be careful, I suppose, to not use too much in your hand before you end up slamming that. But it just doesn't seem like a great play on this turn in particular. Finds a Dino Tamer Brand, and he still has that Scale Rider to kind of swing the tempo back in his favor a little bit. So all in all, a pretty good turn, but do you think that Twilight Drake might end up being a little bit of a dead card as the game goes longer?
Maybe. It also could just be like a good dragon to activate things if he picks up Rottenness Drake later on.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And he's already played like the Evasive Fellwing. Twilight Drake is totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
Also, based off the way this game is panning out, chances are PNC is going to look to end the game with Dino Tamer Brain on 7, and if it's not over, use Kill Command on 8, or some variation thereof. Because Purple is playing a little bit greedy with his life total. He's saying, okay, so again, here's the criticism against Serpent Egg. It's played turn 2, and it's yet to have any significant impact.
Yeah.
And so because of that, Purple hasn't been able to answer early game minions, and he's losing a lot of life.
Corsair Cash for another draw. Finds a Livewire Lance at least. And with the buff, able to clear the Scale Rider. But you're right. He's down to 16. and he needs to find a way to kind of start to swing things back into his favor. Stormhammer is a pretty strong draw for PNC, but turn 5 seems a little bit awkward. Actually, no, it actually just seems like another good turn to do some damage, doesn't it?
Yeah, so PNC's thinking, why is purple amassing all... I mean, maybe not necessarily why. It's fairly obvious why. He wants to go for a combo turn. But you know, if you look at all those lackeys, purple hasn't committed those lackeys. And this is, again, another thing to consider. Like, if you're going to be playing live wire lances, but yet not using your lackeys, what are you saving them for? And you look at purple's hand, there's not really much going for it right now. He doesn't have any armor smiths or risky skippers because he didn't play anchor. He chose to play that first live wire.
It's pretty much half lackeys at this point. So Stormhammer and just swing it all to face seems like the obvious play for PNC. And what else are you supposed to do, right? You're like, I know they've got a bunch of stuff in their hand, but I can't really react until I know because there's so many different permutations for the lackeys.
Right. So going down to 7 health.
Yeah.
Again, this is
Draconic lackey.
Dicey.
Oh, I don't know about this. I mean,
starting your game at 7 health does not sound like a great chance to win, but
this seems like a really hard place to come back from. If you're purple, you've got 6 mana. All right, prove me wrong. Get the best spells ever. Boom Squad. Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I guess that's the option, right? Spell number 2, Sword and Board. All right. Inner Rage, yeah. Finally time to power up that egg a little bit. Why not make it a 5/5?
Yeah, but if PNC draws like Unleash the Hounds,
sure. Yeah.
He's 1 damage off lethal right now.
I mean, and he can set himself up really well for getting the lethal on turn 7 with Dino Tamer Brand too. I guess you got to worry a little bit if maybe your opponent has like a Titanic lackey in there somewhere, but
right.
But
well, maybe. So we definitely want to swing with the weapon to the face and the hero power. I guess not to 5. So then if they hero power, they go up to 7, and then kill command can end the game.
Yeah.
But the problem is he doesn't have a beast.
Yes.
So kill command would not actually get the full activation of the 5.
You might not need it though in this case, I suppose. I mean, what do you think? Do you think evasive Fellwing hero power, just putting more into face at this point, is the way to go? Like, is it even worth considering handling any of the minions on the board? Seems like you just want to go for the finish.
I'm down.
Yeah. Looks like PNC's down too. Face is the place. This has been the adage for hunters for years and years. Since the dawn of time. Armor Smith.
My goodness.
All right.
Huge. But purple doesn't have the risky skipper, so he can't go for the crazy armor gain, but still a lot of armor to be gained right now.
Certainly could. Boom Squad.
Scrap Golem.
All right. That could keep him alive for a bit longer anyway. It's not a taunt though, is it?
It is a taunt.
It is a taunt.
He can't play the Armor Smith and the Scrap Golem and put up a taunt because he doesn't have a He doesn't have a Titanic lackey.
Witchy lackey seems pretty risky here. He was holding it for a moment. I'm like, I don't know, man.
That evasive Fellwing not being able to get targeted also really annoys stuff.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit of decision paralysis possibly for Purple here as he finally puts together a turn. The Walled Lackey
just dead.
Gets the clear, and you are correct. He's just dead. Kill command hero power, among other things, is easy win here. And that's it. PNC taking game number 1 against Purple's Hunter with the Highlander, or Purple's Warrior rather, with the Highlander Hunter. PNC wins game number 1. That's what I'm trying to say.
PNC wins game number 1, and a lot of questions going into my mind after that game.
Yeah.
It feels weird to have kept Anchor in your opening hand. As far as I know, maybe I missed the mulligans.
Well, he had that
and then
that
to
choice,
not
right?
play it.
Right. He had that choice between Livewire Lance and Anchor, and he chose the Livewire Lance, and that leads, each weapon leads you into two very different lines of play, don't they?
Yes, but like moreover, not only did he keep the Anchor from what we saw, but he also kept Wormhole Challenger and didn't play that either.
Yeah.
As far as I remember, he 3-kept Serpent Egg, not Livewire Lance, Anchor and the Wormhole Challenger, and only one of those cards ended up coming into play the
Right.
entire game. It really, really gets me wondering about what could have been.
It was an interesting scenario too, where the Primordial Explorer was coined out for PNC, so maybe hit the board right before you would want to play that Warmall Challenger to get a little bit of board presence, and that may have kind of thrown him off his game too.
Oh, sure. I'm sure there's a lot of reasonings behind his plays, but for now, we're just left with some questions, as that brings us to our next intermission. We're going to take a break for a few minutes and reset ourselves, and when we come back, we're going to resume this series between PNC and Purple. Stay tuned.
Hearthstone Grandmasters is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network. T-Mobile.
Be handcuffed to a Grandmaster for 1 month.
If I would be handcuffed to one person for over a month, it would probably be tight because he's just way too positive. Even if it looks like something bad could happen, you look at Tyson and he just talks about his tea and everyone is good again.
I think I'm actually gonna pick Bunny. I can learn a lot about chemistry.
Can't go with another Grandmaster. I will choose Firebat because we will still have fun. It won't matter.
That would be Zalei, because I think he would be able to break the chains.
I would probably pick Seiko, because Seiko is very calm, doesn't speak too much, so I wouldn't be annoyed.
I think I would say Seiko because, he's not speaking, so he would be quiet.
Yeah, Psycho. Yeah, Psycho is. I like to speak with him.
I'll just go with Seiko.
Okay.
We can all have him.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Hearthstone Grandmasters for the Americas region. If you are just tuning in, we still have a lot more Hearthstone to play between PNC and Purple, as they are the last two. Or sorry, this is the last potential series that we get to see Purple play in Grandmasters, depending on how things shake up with the standings.
Right, and he starts out down one game too, so already needing to make a little bit of a comeback.
Yep. So with that, let's go ahead and talk about what's coming up for game number 2. As we did see that first game go the Highlander Hunter's way, and Warrior still left up. Pretty uncharacteristic defeat there for Warrior, as a lot of Warrior decks tend to be pretty strong against Hunter, especially if they have access to cards like Anchor.
Right.
But it didn't go Purple's way, and I gotta wonder if PNC here, if he can get this win, can Purple have a chance to come back in this series? It feels like things are just starting to really wind down here.
Yeah, it was such an awkward game number 1 for Purple as well, in that, like we talked about before the break, he didn't even get to play 2 of the cards he kept in his opening hand either. So there's a lot going on, I think, right now in terms of Purple's play, in terms of his deck choices, and unfortunately, it's not going well for him so far. But here we are in game number 2. Looks like it's going to be Hunter versus Warlock this time around. Purple swapping over to the Hunter.
Yep. So Purple, looks like we got his webcam up. Just going to go ahead and take a look at how his deck list looks to him. And it seems like he's going to only keep that Fairy Dragon to be proactive on the play here.
Right. And I suppose this is one of those matchups where you do feel a little bit more pressure to be aggressive if you're the Hunter player, because the longer the game goes, the more the Warlock can kind of put together those game-ending combos. Well, you got to keep the Dino Tamer brand, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, it's...
I mean, a lot of times people mean that Highlander decks are about, 4 or 5 good cards and 25 mediocre cards, and you just hope that you draw the 5 good cards.
Right.
Dino Tamer brand is part of that. It is one of the 3 reasons why you would play this archetype over just a traditional mid-range Hunter deck.
Right. PNC accepting the damage, going for the life tap here. Probably wants to get a little bit more on board on the other side before he uses his Dark Skies.
Yeah, so that's already something that we see as a deviation. I think that there's merit to consider cards like Sense Demons and Dark Skies on 3, but I guess Dark Skies may be a little bit too much. But Sense Demons there increases his potential range of plays, and if he's looking for greed, I really want Sense Demons to draw both of my Broodmothers and give me full 8 life, I think that could work out, but it's a little bit optimistic, to say the least.
Oh yeah, for sure. You might end up with a couple Moarg Artificers or something else instead.
Right, and it's pretty much just Moarg Artificers and Aranasi Broodmothers in these deck lists.
Yeah.
But now, this is part of the reason why I liked what Gallon did that previous game. Sense Demons feels even worse to play now.
Right, because you're still kind of letting 1 mana sort of float. You're staring at minimum 5 damage coming in next turn. Are already going to be sub 20. If you don't heal from it, then you're left with a little bit of a rough spot, especially without a plot twist in the hand. So, yeah, I think one of the Dark Skies is probably warranted here. Maybe you look at other options, but I think another one of the problems that you run into here is that the Fairy Dragons are not, and the Evasive Fellwings are just not able to be targeted by things like Another Breath.
Yeah, this is a awkward spot now, and you can see why the spell immunity for the Evasive Fellwing and Fairy Dragon are so problematic to deal with.
PNC going over his options right now. It's because you really need to get rid of this, right? Well, that's what I was thinking, right? Because it's a huge amount of damage coming in. He's going to sense demons, so no Dark Skies this turn. He does manage to heal for 4, so you're like, all right, well, essentially it's a 1/4 coming in next turn now, so that doesn't scare me as much.
Oh, wow.
Ends the turn but doesn't life tap. I guess you don't want to overdo your hand, but
I mean, definitely like an opportunity to use plot twist.
yeah, I think so. All right, Boom Pistol Bully comes down, which doesn't hurt PNC that much. Doesn't get to play the Questing Explorer, but it is kind of feeling like a plot twist turn, isn't it? Or is it maybe?
Dark Skies here.
Dark Skies plot twist.
If you don't respect the damage on board, which I very much do, you could also just plop a 6-drop usually on 6, but not when your opponent has the potential threat of a Rottennest Drake.
Into minimum 10 damage. Checking how many draws he's gotten so far. 9 out of 20. He will make a lot of progress if he goes Dark Skies into plot twist.
Right. And, if he didn't plot twist before because he liked the defensiveness of his hand before, now I think is the time to use it.
Yeah. Because now you look at that hand before it goes away, and you're missing things like the Nether Drake, things like that. Other board clear options, right? And he does draw some healing. And looking ahead, he does have the crazed Nether Drake now, so you do have some options to deal with whatever board your opponent puts out. Purple coin Dino Tamer is going in.
Yeah. And even if this gets dealt with, which it will, the job of the Dino Tamer Brain already has been done, which is to just pressure your opponent's life total. So Kelodan can answer the King Crush, but there's still 2 damage remaining here.
Yeah. And every little bit hurts, right? Hunter does have nice tools like Varanus as well to deal with some of the bigger taunts, like what we're going to see come out of this Abyssal Summoner.
Oh my. This is so greedy.
Super brave, right? Like, you're like, all right, well, I'm Demon Tamer Bran now. Here's my 8/8. But Purple has some ways to deal with this.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, it's like if your opponent has the average draw, they can't get through it easily, like Rottennest Drake and whatnot. But I mean, even if Purple didn't have this Varanus, he still had like Corrosive Breath and Kill Command.
Yeah.
Which honestly might be better, because then you get to save Varanus against the follow-up taunt. I think I like that actually better than just using the Varanus here. It's hard to say though, because you're still putting out a 7/6, and you still get to keep the Corrosive Breath and Kill Command for potential lethal next turn.
Right. And I wonder, that's definitely what Purple's thinking about. What's going to give him the best chance of lethal in the upcoming turns? Decides to go with the spell method of clearing the 8/2, or the 8/8 rather. So you still get 3 damage done with the spell to face, and you get a lot of damage done with your board. Another 10 brings PNC down to 3 at this point.
And with no Nether Breath, he's exactly in the same position as he was before, except he has 3 health now. So this is looking bad. And if he wanted to tempt fate once more by playing Abyssal Summoner, he's going to get hurt.
Right.
And I think this is the biggest reason why you can't go for that play reliably. There is one out here with Morag Artificer into the hero power for the tome.
Yep. I mean, I suppose you could hero power. Oh, there's a Zephyrus, but it's not active.
No, he needed specifically the Nether Breath in order to just get him out of that situation there. Well, Purple gets a pretty easy game 2 victory. Part of the strength of Hunter is to be able to pressure classes like Warlock and Mage, and so well done to Purple.
Well, that feels good too. Like after taking a rough loss like you did in game number 1, to be able to come back and win game 2 with very little stress. You just kind of came in and stomped them, basically. That kind of maybe helps you reset mentally a little bit and be like, okay, well, now it's just essentially a best of 3 at this point, right? So now you can kind of reset the series more or less, mentally.
Yeah. And now we have Warlock, Demon Hunter versus Warrior and Rogue. So Warrior theoretically should be good against both of these, and then the Rogue should be even versus, well, at least Demon Hunter. Against Quest Warlock, I feel like I'm still not exactly sold one way or the other on how Demon Hunter actually ends up playing out. Or sorry, how Rogue ends up playing out against the Rogue. You said you've been playing a lot of Quest Warlock. How do you feel like that fares against Rogue right now?
I mean, funny enough, I can't recall a single game I played against Rogue on the ladder with it. Honestly, it was a lot of Demon Hunter matchups, and it was a good amount of like Warrior and stuff. But yeah, in the last 2 days, which is basically when I've been playing it, I don't think I actually hit a single Rogue on the ladder. So
Okay.
I don't know. I'm at the same place you are, where I'm curious to see what that matchup is going to be like too.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's kind of even against the Galakron Warlock Rogues. So I guess a lot of these archetypes start blending together if you want to play like more of that stealth package, if you want to start playing more of that secret stuff. The only separation that we have data-wise that's very clean is Galakron Rogue versus Highlander Rogues. And, you know, the Quest Warlock seems to be doing much better against Highlander Rogue because it's a lot slower, so you have the opportunity to combo them.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll address that in a sec here. It looks like we're going to be playing Demon Hunter here for PNC.
Yeah, so look at PNC's Demon Hunter. And as far as, looks like he is going with the Vulpera Scoundrel in his list. Seems to be the trend these days. Rip Crimson Sigil Runner.
Yeah, the Crimson Sigil Runner has been rotated out. PNC was one of the people actually playing it last week despite it getting nerfed.
I know, I was seeing a few people still including it. Because it still does give you, you know, a little bit of hand renewal. It's something on the board at least, but I guess the Vulpera Scoundrel lets you kind of like tailor your hand to the situation better, you know? In a lot of cases. So,
well, we're going to go into game number 1 here. Pretty good opening hand for PNC. Battle Fiend into Beaming Psychic on 2 is generally considered some of the strongest turns 1 and 2 you can have with Demon Hunter.
Right.
Purple the full mulligan because he needs something more proactive. Finds Warmaw Challenger. That card's also extremely valuable.
Yeah, Sky Raider as well to just get something else in his hand to kind of work with.
Sure. Yeah. It gives him basically 2 life.
Yep. And it gives him a Kobold. Not a Kobold Lackey, a Pirate Kobold.
I got you, friend.
But yeah, like you mentioned, the Battle Fiend into the Sidekick is a very strong early play. Getting a 2-4 like that, getting to clear, keep it as a 2-3. Already Warrior might struggle a little bit. Although Purple's hand seems better prepared to handle this than the first time we saw this deck today.
I challenge you to Mascara!
Warmaw Challenger. Wow, it just goes after the Inner Rage on it right away.
Yeah, I think that's totally fine given that a lot of people are pretty much just going to Inner Rage that, and if he's able to capitalize on it now, the Battle Fiend can't preemptively trade into it. What you might end up seeing, for example, is PNC with like Hero Power, like attack, the Warmaw Challenger, then the Battle Fiend bump into it. That just makes Bloodflow Mercenary a lot worse.
True. Well, a couple different options here. Vulpera Scoundrel, to me anyway, looks like the most tempting, just because you're like, all right, I'm not going to clear this turn, probably. Although, I guess you could with Chaos Strike Hero Power, couldn't you?
You could. I think proactively developing is still somewhat important here.
Yeah. Although this would be 6 damage.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's not quite a clear, even if he buffs the Battle Fiend.
Right.
So
I think that's my main issue with it, is that if you do end up doing this...
He's thinking about it. I mean, I do math wrong all the time. I don't think someone like PNC does the math wrong, but what do you think about that, though? Leaving the 3-1 out there?
Your flaws are your strength.
Okay, Bloodsworn Mercenary comes in, so Purple just trying to take advantage and swing the board state back in his favor.
Yeah.
Center overs here, though.
fine because your opponent's already committing 3 cards, and you could just hero power things down. And Satyr Overseer does match blow for blow, like what's on the board.
Impatient.
So my problem is that I think the same situation would have surfaced, except that he would have had a full Parascoundrel on board to potentially pick up good trades.
Yeah.
Or at least force purple to trade into it, and then he would have spells to be able to react to it. However, Parascoundrel is not exactly reliable, so I think in the end, PNC chose a safer play, and I think that's totally fine.
Yep, effectively eliminates the 3-1s from the next turn. One literally eliminated, and the other one frozen for now. Okay, well there's Terran Gorefiend, so I don't know if it's quite...
Terran Gorefiend is a pretty tempting thing to play right now.
So I was kind of wondering, yeah. He's going for it.
Okay, question. Do you go for Vampire Scoundrel just to find the consume magic?
That is a next level play. I don't know. What is the percentage breakdown of actually hitting that? It's probably not terrible, is it?
Let me see. So if I type in spell for the Demon Hunter class, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16, 19. No, wait, one of these are golden. So 18 spells it looks like for the Demon Hunter class. So you get 3 chances out of it to find exactly consume magic.
So what? I'm terrible at math. Is that roughly like a 1 out of 6 effectively?
Yeah, so
it's not
17%.
I don't know. That seems like
right.
That seems like it would be an awesome highlight. I don't know if it's something you go for in a tournament game, especially with these guys' records right now. 2 and 3 for PNC. Is it really time to take chances like that?
Another way to evaluate it is if he has a 17% chance to blow out purple and potentially win the game right here.
That is true.
Is that higher or lower than if this Terran Gorefiend gets the pop? Because if Terran Gorefiend gets the pop, isn't purple? Wouldn't you argue that he's like an 80-20 favorite to win the game from here?
That's a really good point.
Maybe not.
That's a really good point, actually, because you probably should think of it as like a 17% chance to actually win the game. Or, the other percent chance is to effectively lose the game, because when Terran Gorefiend, Death Rattle goes off, then what do, right?
Right. It's hard to say. And purple, again, taking a little bit of a greedy line here by going for the, by not popping the Terran Gorefiend.
Right.
He played it really quickly, and I would like to think about it just a little bit longer. I think the reason why is because purple... one knows PNC can't deal with this easily, but there's a Wargaze of Azanoth, and if he pops his Terran Gorefiend ahead of time, he's giving his opponent opportunities to attack into it.
Right. It would be, that's a lot of damage you'd be taking by going after all this. That's exactly what's going to happen here, I guess.
Right.
But still, 11 goes down to 8.
Okay.
It's a big board out there. It takes out the anchor with the 6 Swampus too, and yeah, PNC just shrugging is like, well, here's my board. Good luck me.
Yeah. Oh my god, purple drew another low-cost minion.
Alright.
That's it. Game's over.
Yeah, it's looking like that's going to be a lot of armor gain, a lot of board clear, and if you're PNC, what do you do to come back from that?
Nothing. He's
Not
dead.
much.
There's actually nothing that can win him this game anymore. He can't clear off the board. I guess he's not dead yet.
Well, Vampire Scoundrel.
Okay.
What could you find
Scoundrel? I don't know. I'm willing to be entertained with the idea of him making a comeback through Vampire Scoundrel.
Something like I guess maybe... Yeah, I was thinking about going Gravebound Adept for the board presence here, which I don't necessarily disagree
take off
with.
Power. But now purple's on like 1 core card elite to end the game now. The moment he gets to turn 8, Guam comes out. It's just,
There's a lot of different ways purple could end the game here.
I would like PNC to play Vampire Scoundrel just to use results-oriented thinking to see what he would have seen.
Is what, like
whether it's
Shadow Cleave? Would he be able to afford that? No, I don't think so.
There's some cards that aren't, or some spells that aren't very good. Like what if he gets like Blur and Inner Demon, like cards that have no impact right now.
Right.
So I think like Gravebound Adept is better. It's just more fun for me to see what's in Volpera Scoundrels.
Battle Rage.
Oh,
that
my
is
God.
insane. Wow, does Purple find the win right here?
Could be.
Well, immediately ripping the Blood Boil Brute. Yeah, that clears the Gravebound Adept, so it's all but locked up at this point. Setter Overseer not going to do it. Scoundrel, what do you find?
The other one mana tempo
Mystery
player.
choice.
Mystery choice.
Time to go for the mystery choice.
Well, the rest of these options don't really feel good. Blade Dance is not particularly strong.
Yeah. Coordinated Strike. What do you actually clear with this?
Oh, you definitely clear the Blood Boil Brute.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is...
You're pretty much... I mean, I guess it's only 2 damage on board and you have 3 health, but... It's looking grim.
Grom's been waiting. Corcoran
Yep.
lead off the top.
Don't even need that.
Warrior gets the win. And so PNC's Demon Hunter gets crushed. This is Demon Hunter's worst matchup by a significant margin. You can see why. And I think that's another case to make. To try and specifically take these really small chances of victory, because it's a bad matchup. And in these kinds of strategy games in general, like whether you're playing, a simple board game at home during quarantine or you're playing high-level Hearthstone, the more unfavored you are, sometimes the higher risk you have to take in order to win.
Yeah. Well, Purple, things paying off for him. 2-1 lead in the series that he really needs to win to give himself a chance to stay in Grandmasters. Of course, we talked about it earlier. He's 1-5 right now. So things are grim. Only needs a win with the Rogue now, but he's got to beat both Demon Hunter and he's got to beat Quest Warlock. Talking about percentages, Dan, what do you think he's got here?
Percentage chance to turn this around. Demon Hunter versus Rogue is pretty even, especially if Rogue has a good curve. I'd say that Rogue is slightly favored with Purple's deck list here. And so if we were to look at that and then look at the Rogue versus the Warlock to wrap things up here, PNC's chance to win this series is probably around 25% or so. Just taking a very baseline analysis there. And he can make us slightly or better or slightly worse based off plays or what Purple's deck lists are. And, in hindsight, I think PNC thought Purple's Warrior list was weaker than it was because he played an outdated list. And I wonder if that's just like next level bait for Purple. It's like, because some people were doing that in the 10 deck format. People were starting to replace their Zephrys with like wisps and stuff to let their Highlander Mage or Highlander like other decks go through. Because people were like, "Oh, I don't want to play Shaman and Paladin during this 10 deck format." So, oh, look at me! I like replaced Wisp into these decks. It's so much worse, right? Just don't ban it. Some people do stuff like that where they just like really mess with their opponent. Very funny.
Anything you can do to increase the mental load on your opponent is always a good thing in a competitive situation. You know, the more you can give them to think about, the more you can give them to make mistakes. With backstab onto the Blazing Battle Mage. So Purple getting a little bit of early forward with the 1-2.
That backstep is really important. Just kind of resets who's grabbing the early game tempo. And most importantly, if he had a Shadow Zoo Hanar, just open up opportunities to get the Hanar on board safely.
Yeah. More importantly, if you're going to get a Reborn minion, make sure you get a 10-10. Like Colossus of the Moon. Because, it's content.
It's content. Content is king. For some people who, might be looking on their exit to Grandmasters, content might be on the first thing on their mind.
That's possible.
I mean, Purple's already kind of done that successful transition, so to speak. For a while, like, Purple was a competitive player, but he didn't really have much content creation. Now he's pretty much full-time streamer. And he is kind of one of the kings of Battlegrounds, so to speak. People look at him as being like one of the think tank leaders of how you should be playing certain heroes.
Well, I remember just chilling out with him in Dallas back at the first Masters of the year, and he was walking me through a game of Battlegrounds, and I was like, this man's brain is much bigger than mine. Because
Yeah, and not to talk too much about Battlegrounds because we're playing right now Standard Constructed, but Purple is a big ambassador for how he thinks Battlegrounds is way deeper than people give it credit for.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because you could just say that about Hearthstone in general, but it's funny that
Totally.
another game mode is once again kind of deceivingly simple because I just buy 3-4 minions maybe in one turn, but then Purple has a lot to say about the subject. Depending on the hero, depending on the metagame.
Oh, yeah. Not to get too far out of line, but
Right.
we all know auto battlers are much more deep than people give them credit for on the surface.
Oh, it's all RNG, Doa, don't you know?
Yeah, that's right.
This is pure randomness.
I didn't get the right shop. Oh, I lose. It's not my fault. It is your fault. Get good. Well, PNC with the freeze on the face for the rogue, which is definitely annoying to deal with as there's a 1 health minion on the other side.
Right.
Trying to remove Hanar from the equation, but the Seal Fate comes in. And a Goblin Lackey, okay. Yeah, I
It's
guess you
okay
just
that
trade.
Hanar didn't get value. Just stop the Demon Hunter from getting its momentum. If you go blow for blow very even, you're going to be in a good spot.
Just delay, That's the thing, it's Demon Hunter is kind of playing against Demon Hunter is kind of having a little brother or sister that's throwing a tantrum, right? You're the older sibling. And you just have to weather the storm. They're gonna yell and maybe punch you or something like that, But if you just wait it out, if you just calm, let them get it out, eventually you'll get the upper hand in the end.
That's great. I had no idea you were so good at sibling conflict management.
I'm the oldest of 8, remember?
That's right.
I have had a lot of experience at that. Yeah. So when I see Illidan Storm Rage, kind of like Illidan Baby Rage to me.
I like that. PNC picks up Spectral Sight. It's an opportunity to play that right now, but he forgoes tempo development, and I think that PNC's thinking primarily about how best to develop the board. The problem is the Satyr Overseer gets challenged by the Dragonly mechanic right on the board, and I think if I'm PNC, playing that Satyr Overseer and the Battle Fiend right now is basically saying, I want to trade with your cards, and hopefully Spectral Sight into Skull Gold Band can bail me out.
Right.
But I mean, you are a tempo deck. Tempo decks want to get onto the board first, draw cards later. That's just generally what they want to do. So PNC doing what his deck does best.
Yeah, you got to force your opponent to react to you, otherwise you're not getting the most out of that deck. So, a couple interesting options for Purple right now. Let's see what he gets from the Feral Cat first, of course.
Generous Mummy is pretty awkward. But your opponent's only holding 1 card, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And Generous Mummy is still decent amount of stats, so if he chose to trade his Dragonly mechanic and didn't taunt it up, he could taunt the Generous Mummy, force PNC to attack into it anyways, although it does have Reborn, so that is problematic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not... I don't know if there's any way you can really make that into a good turn. It's going to be pretty awkward at best, right? I mean, at least, like you said, the Titanic Lackey makes it a little bit tougher for PNC to trade with him. It's going to go for the Generous Mummy anyway. I mean, I suppose it's all you have, really.
Wow. I'm going to go ahead and leave up the Satyr Overseer. Oh, it's because he has Flick Sky Shiv.
Yeah.
This is clever. So the reason why I thought that this may have made sense because it sets up for the best High Spirit Togwaggle play, but by having the Flick Sky Shiv, he can just react to PNC if PNC draws the absolute best card, which is Wargaze of Azzinoth, to get all those satyrs summoned.
Kane's Sunfury in the hand for PNC, so you can just negate that taunt if you want to, but...
I grow
yeah, I'm down.
I mean,
taunt
why not?
is cheap.
Do all the damage you can. Look for that Metamorphosis.
Yeah, or Skull of Gul'dan, and Generous Mummy can't die if you just ignore it. Therefore, if you just go off face, or at least pick up value trades, right?
Yeah.
Like use the weapon to kill off the lackey, pick up some value trades.
All right, that's a good amount of damage getting thrown in. He's going to do a little bit of trading, I guess.
Yeah, just minimal trading.
Yeah.
Stop High Spirit Togwaggle from getting value.
Yeah, take up a 1/2
on that.
And send 9 to face.
Yeah.
Or 7 to face, rather. All right, a little bit of damage there. So Flick is probably still your best option. Doesn't deal with the 2 satyrs on the board, but at least it prevents more from coming out.
Right. I mean, he was anticipating PNC to potentially go for a big round of summons.
Oh, wow.
But saw that it wasn't the case.
That's a pretty big pickup.
Huge pickup here for PNC.
No kidding.
You can just go ahead and trade into this. Use one of his Illidari or little whelps that you guys summoned.
Yep, the bats.
Bats.
The bats can handle it. And then, yeah, just Grave Bound out up the Flick and send the rest to face, I suppose.
Interesting. That's devastating for purple.
Yeah, sure is. So 7 mana. I mean, you can play Galakron, I guess, but it's
yeah, it's the only thing you can really play here. And he just needs to fade this last push from his opponent. Prep.
Huh. Okay.
Oh my gosh, that is awful.
Wow. All right, so you just prep into the dirty tricks, I guess. I was wondering which secret you would go for, but yeah. At least dirty tricks, you'll give yourself, if you don't die, you'll give yourself more cards to play. But PNC, maybe you just don't play a card. Do you anticipate the dirty tricks here and just say, you know what? Chaos Strike isn't... Because you're not going to win the game with Chaos Strike right now, so...
Yeah, but you do have enough mana to play every single card in your deck.
That's
and if
true.
You draw, there's several draws for lethal. There's Workdays of
That's
Azzinoth.
true.
There's Twin Slice. There's another Glaive Bound of Depth. There's Metamorphosis.
It's a very good point.
You get some rerolls, like Skull Gul'dan can draw all those things. Or even Volpera's Scoundrel. Or another Chaos Strike. Like, I think that there's a reasonable amount of justification to go for it. But that being said, you're also in such a dominant position that you don't even have to poke the bear. You can just pass and see what purple does.
Well, it's the same situation that PNC was in last game almost, right? Where you're going to ask yourself, is it worth taking the percentage chance to win? And PNC, again, going with the safer play, the more passive play, I guess you could say. All right. Blackjack Stunner is the draw.
Last chance here. This has to be like haunt. Okay, that's it.
Shaggy isn't going to do it. And we're all tied up 2-2.
2-2, and one more chance here for PNC to lock purple in the relegation cell and leave him. Well, basically, as an opportunity to go to the playoffs and also avoid the relegation bracket himself.
Yeah, that's right. So a huge game coming up between these two players. It's going to be Rogue versus Warlock. And this is the match up that we were talking about earlier that we were kind of wondering how it was going to go. It is more the secret package for Purple, it seems like. So just thinking about that offhand, I don't know. What's your initial take? Just theory crafting off the top of your head about that matchup.
So Rogue versus Warlock, I think, entirely depends on how Rogue starts. If Rogue is not able to get off to a quick start, then Warlock is free to life tap. And then by the time Rogue's developing stuff meaningfully, like they're playing, Lackey Faceless Corruptor, or they're playing High Spirit Togwaggle, or even Edwin, Warlock is ready to deal with it. So I think that it is purely based on how aggressive Rogue can be in the early game, and then make Warlock create tough decisions where, like, if they play a single taunt like Abyssal Summoner, they get Blackjack Stunnered, and then the Rogue just pushes damage.
Right.
I think that the longer this game goes, I mean, this shouldn't be a big surprise, but the longer the game goes, Warlock is more favored with each passing turn.
Naturally,
so it's up to Rogue to close it out ASAP. That being said, I'm not a big fan of Rogue right now. If you look at its matchup spreads data-wise, it has very few winning matchups, and the matchups that it wins really hard, like Priest or Paladin, but I mean, everyone kind of beats Paladin, so I'm not really sure if that's like good justification for it.
I mean, there aren't any Priests or Paladins this weekend anyway, so...
Yeah, and the main strength of Rogue seems to be that, one, even if it doesn't have winning matchups, it still can like get there sometimes if it like gets a really good start. And 2, it does seem to be one of the few classes that can go toe-to-toe with Demon Hunter very cleanly.
Right.
So I don't know. It's been 7 weeks of Rogue, and each week I lose more and more confidence into it. But we can't forget that there is also the opportunity that Edwin Van Cleef just ends the game. And that all of a sudden makes you look like it was a genius to bring Rogue, because you just get a free win.
Comparing the two decks between PNC and Purple here, looking at PNC's Warlock at the moment. But you're right. I mean, it all comes down to like if PNC has an answer to the big questing adventure or the big Edwin, you know. And here we go. Opening hands for Purple and PNC. Pretty decent stuff for PNC. You'd love to see the questing adventure early on. Just toss back to Arnasi Broodmother.
The Questing Explorer is the most important card here besides the Supreme Archaeologist. So those two on the left, I think you keep. I don't think you keep Rain of Fire, even though it's nice to deal with those early game lackeys. Purple throws away Hanar, which I think is 100% correct unless you have a Secret in hand.
Yeah, of course.
Even then, Secret is just not good enough tempo, and you need to develop something much quicker. But yeah, this is, again, potentially Purple's last game here in Grandmasters, unless he's able to re-qualify via Masters Tours, but that's difficult.
Yeah, you're going up against an enormous pack if you're trying to get back in that way.
Right.
There is the whole, you know, thought process where if you did it once, you can do it once before. You know, if you get into Grandmasters once, you can find the ways to do it again, but you don't have to do that, obviously. Definitely better to stay in.
Right.
So Purple just developing that Blackjack Center early just to do something to get PNC to react. But he's going to have a good answer. Life tapping even first before playing the Questing Explorer.
Yeah, and this is a really good game to talk about two concepts. One, against Rogue, this is one of the few classes where I think playing the Questing Explorer is wrong on two, because if you let them curve out into Fate, Seal Fate, or to give them backstab miscreant opportunities,
good point.
Or, you know, heaven forbid, like prep X, you know, an Edwin turn.
Sure.
You can get completely blown out. So I would say against Rogue, you always have to be mindful of what their turn 3 play is.
Yeah. A little bit of health gain for PNC. That said, it's going to be maybe coin Craze Netherwing.
He wants to get onto the board as fast as he can.
Yeah.
Rogue is like a slower version of those Tempo Demon Hunters. Well, I guess maybe not even really that aggressive anymore. Rogue seems to be much more of a mid-range deck now.
What'd you grab? Guts of the Waxmancy, huh? All right. And here comes Big Edwin. It's going to be what, 8-8 out of this one? 6-6. Okay.
Right. 8-8 versus 6-6 does not matter because chances are there's another Crazed Netherwing coming, and Crazed Netherwing might just wipe out the 8-8 anyways.
Right. It'll take him out either way.
Yeah. So this is another really impactful moment here. And this is so tough to come back from as a Rogue. You go so wide on the board.
Yeah.
You're hoping to pick your opponent's board down.
You've dedicated the Edwin already.
Oh, wow.
Kronks, the draw.
Yeah.
Do you just slam it?
Why
not?
I'm so tempted to. I am very... I do not have faith in Waxmancy at all. So if you want to go Questing Adventure Waxmancy, and you can guarantee that you have something good, be my guest. I think Kronks not only, of course, is good use of your mana, but it's also outmatched on the 5/5.
Right.
So your opponent specifically would have to have the Mortal Coil.
Wow, he's going to go for the Waxmancy anyway. Taking the chances. All right.
All right.
Can you live long enough to use it, though? That's the question. It's Just grabs a regular Alexstrasza, as you'd imagine. But it is an Alexstrasza that can come up next turn, though.
Right.
Abyssal Summoner.
I mean, that's good. PNC just curving out.
That's the thing.
That's just a lot of stats.
Kill the Questing Adventure. Not a lot that purple can do about it at the moment.
Wing Guardian, hard to deal with because you can't interact with it very much.
Yeah, you kind of have to find a way of just doing enough damage to it, which he does have on the board. But you still have to deal with the Reborn. Yeah, exactly.
It's okay, though. I think PNC's held on long enough for this Questing Explorer. I think it's time to perhaps explore a bit.
I agree. He needs to explore what other options he could find himself for this turn, because right now it's not great. Nether Breath does not really help him.
Yeah, this looks like Sense Demon's turn to me. I think we Sense Demons and then Life Tap, because you want to guarantee that you get those 2 demons drawn.
Yep.
Okay.
Don't end up with like a 1/1 extra demon imp thing. Draws the Alexstrasza anyway off the life tap. You could still sense demons here, but it's 8 cards in hand. I guess, yeah, you'd be at 9, so you're okay.
Yeah, you'd be at...
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess he was tapping in case he found like a opportunity to play another card to kill off the Wing Guardian. If you found, for example, the Plague of or Rain of Fire.
More Artificer.
Interesting.
Huh.
Misses the attack with the 6/6.
Did he want to do the attack with the 6/6 though?
It looked like he was really indecisive about it.
Yeah. Because you're kind of like, well, they're going to need to run into it anyway. 6 health is a lot to burn through, but, you know, obviously purple finds a way. And now you're just in even more trouble.
He just got giga punished, though.
No
that
kidding.
Morgue Artificer activates both ways, and that Seal Fate does 6 damage to an undamaged target. PNC with a potentially huge mistake here.
Yeah, and purple getting some life back in this series. You can see on his face, he's like, wait a second. There's a chance here.
Yeah, and he's got 2 great cards, like, you know, ready to go. Alexstrasza to press in.
Right.
Kronks to refill his hand.
Yep. And he's got a couple secrets in the wings as well, so he's going to be getting some more cards regardless. There's a tap into the Broodmother, so a net gain of 2 health, I guess.
Jeez, and now with 2 secrets being played, you're afraid of, well, 1, attacking into this now feels like a bad thing to do. Because you attack into this Wing Guardian, and it turns into a 10-drop. You might just die, so you have to be really careful not to overextend that.
Yep.
Now he sees ambush.
That's the worry, okay. You're kind of expecting the ambush and the dirty tricks. At least this gives him a better target for Nether Breath, which is probably part of the plan.
It's true.
You get rid of the poison minion. A little bit of healing done. Oh, what does the Soul Fire take out? Malagos.
Malagos.
Oh, you can't win without that.
Oh, I don't know about that. Purple. Look at purple. He's just like, okay then.
You hate to see it.
I don't think PNC can win anymore unless he just somehow gets like the ultimate Dragon Queen Alexstrasza Zephyrs combination.
Right? You have to really count on a lot of very fortuitous things coming together if you're PNC right now. I mean, you know, 90% of your games with this deck are won with Malagos and Soulfire, so I don't know. That's a rough one for PNC, but Purple's got to be feeling ecstatic right now, right? I mean, the pressure's on that you got to deliver, but that is a pretty good pickup with the Ysera. Able to play that anytime now.
Yeah. High value cards, and now Purple can just quite literally outgrind the PNC Warlock deck card for card.
Just drop the Alexstrasza. Cut your opponent's life in half.
Oh my
no
god,
way.
Are you serious? Keladan the Breaker being drawn.
I still don't know if it's going to be enough, though. Look at Purple's hand. I mean, Ysera, Kronks again. You know there's more coming, too, for Purple, but Keladan the Breaker might buy him another turn or two anyway.
Well, 6-mana Twisting Nether on a stick feels pretty good.
Sure does.
But you're right. You bring up a good problem. The Winged Guardian is still gonna have its second half of the body.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to when PNC didn't trade preemptively into the Winged Guardian.
Mortal Coil. It almost hurts to dry that, because in like every other situation that'd be a perfect answer, but can't target the Winged Guardian with it.
Yeah.
You're just left with the 6-1 anyway. And you're left with the prospect of being at least 7 health if your opponent doesn't trade. Okay. Shield of Galakron for purple.
Shield of Galakron's good. I mean, the more invocations that he draws, the better Kronx gets as well.
I like this, though. I like putting down the Ysera just to fill your hand with potentially game-winning stuff. Not Laughing Sister, but, you know, there's other good stuff in there.
Yeah, and Kaladin's already been played, so to kill off the Ysera at this point would require Twisting Nether or an equally powerful card like Zephrys.
Right.
If it's even active.
Alex draws himself back up to 15, or 11, essentially. There's 4 damage on the board.
Purple has Flick for tempo.
Right.
His other invocations, Seal Fate and Shield of Galakron, both also in the hand, which means that Purple has even more reload. Like, first of all, this Flick plus development is just hard to deal with. If PNC clears all that, Purple has more development, and if PNC somehow deals with that, Purple has refill with the Galakron.
That's the thing. Flick and Evil Miscreant, so wants to just try to get himself some extra utility to make sure that he can close this out. There's a Titanic Lackey. You don't need it, really, to make the Ysera a dream as well.
Well, that's a Nightmare, so Purple does have lethal next turn.
A Nightmare, rather,
If 1/4 attack minion sticks onto the board, he's got it.
Yep. It's a nightmare for PNC, that's for sure.
What happened to cards like Sense Demons? It's completely useless here.
Wow,
and now
both
PNC has to
Brood Mothers,
tap for a dragon? Doesn't find it.
Rain of Fire doesn't do anything for him.
He can draw with the Mortal Coils. Sort of. He has to Nether Breath, then Rain of Fire, then Coil.
I guess so. Because, yeah, the Nether Breath would only do 2 because he doesn't have a dragon, but... I mean, that's...
Also,
if you're gonna not concede, that's what you have to do, I guess.
I believe he also used both Moards, right?
I think so. He definitely used one.
Jeez.
Oh boy, here we go again.
It's so ugly.
Well, what can you do?
Is that lethal?
It may be. Kronx.
Yeah.
Brings in the
With
Galakron.
this, and then Nightmare. Oh, he would just rush it.
Sure.
Nightmare, attack. And that's going to do it. Purple stays alive in Grandmasters with a critical victory over PNC, who is distraught after that Game 5 series of events, which felt like PNC's game to lose.
That's definitely going to be one of the games that PNC is going to kind of be kicking himself for a while on. Not attacking with that 6/6 on the turn where he had a chance was kind of the turning point where things swung back into Purple's favor. But hey, if you're a Purple fan out there, he's got theoretically a new lease on life. He may not be dead quite yet.
Yeah, but he does need a little bit of help, right? Because we talked about how the outcome of this still might just mean Purple gets relegated. It depends a lot on Firebat tomorrow, on his upcoming match against PNC.
Right.
Because then Purple would have the advantage, I believe, over PNC, since his head-to-head with this PNC victory gives him that edge. And then, of course, it depends on how Papa Jason and ETC end up playing. So if Papa Jason and ETC lose in matches 4 and 5, Purple has that chance. And all of a sudden, relegation bracket once more will do our shuffle that we're so known.
Well, 2 matches down today. Gallon and Purple taking wins so far in groups A and B, respectively. Looking forward, we've got Firebat versus Zelle coming up. Another Division B matchup. This one, a little bit more towards the top of the bracket, though, at least on the Zelle side of things. Or I guess they all have 4-1. Or they all have 4 wins anyway, so it's functionally the same.
Fire Bat and Zalay, one of these two players will lock in their playoff spots with that win. But, like we said, there is this instance where a few people could be tied at 4 wins and 3 losses.
Right.
And therefore, one player would